Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me? Hope you can.
No, I can.
Um, okay, guys, I'm so happy that you're here. We have so much that we've prepared for you guys today. Everything concerning local and international government scholarships. And so, uh, yeah, I can start right now. I'm not sure if I know how to share my screen. Um, Give me a second.
Sure. Sure.
Entire screen.
Nope.
What? Okay, wait, give me a second. Chrome tab. Um, Wait, give me a sec. Okay.
Need some help?
I think so.
I
Wait, give me.
when you go to share your screen, open the presentation in another tab, like apart from the one
Mhm.
you're using for this meeting. Open it in the next tab, then share your screen, like I don't know,
Mhm.
with for the tab, not like on the for the whole screen.
The
It's
whole
just for the
screen.
tab,
Okay.
not for the whole
Ooh.
screen. For the tab. Yeah.
Yay!
Perfect.
Can you see it this time? Oh yeah, so much going on at once. Um, Inasema something went wrong. Yay! Okay. Now, good evening, everyone. I hope you can hear me. So today we're going to be talking about government scholarships, and this is just a general snapshot of what's going to be discussed. We're first going to introduce the idea of government scholarships and what they entail. And I'm going to present the MEX scholarship from Japan, the one from Azerbaijan, Turkey, and Hungary. Out of my own research, I've noticed that these four, are the most doable, I might say, and the least hyped. That's in my opinion. So the less the hype, that means there's more spots that can be yours in the evaluation process. And then we're going to conclude, and I can leave some space for you guys to ask some questions, which I can hopefully answer. Okay. So background information. What are government sponsored scholarships? Mm, These are financial aid programs where two cooperating governments jointly fund outstanding students, emphasis on outstanding, who showcase an interest in seeking higher education abroad. So they are largely merit based and are offered on the basis of academic excellence and leadership. Very, very, very rarely will you ever meet a fully funded government scholarship that is need based, because the whole premise of like the sponsorship is that it cooperates with a needy government in itself. The whole population is poor. So they're not going to give you something that valuable just because you can afford it. So it's merit based and based on academic excellence and leadership. Most are fully funded and cover every major expense associated with the scholarship recipient study in the foreign nation. This includes travel fare, tuition costs, health insurance, living expenses, and accommodation. So, living expenses and accommodation, I just want to clarify, they're not the same thing. Like, accommodation is basically like where you're going to live, like the actual building in itself. So, that means your own dorm room, or if the college doesn't offer their own dorms, that means you have to rent somewhere, they're going to cover those costs. But living expenses, it's just like the food that you're going to eat that day, or I don't know, mafta paka, just regular you personal needs. I hope that is clear from the start. And however, the scholarship stakeholders will not be held accountable for the costs you have incurred in the preparation for submitting your application. That's a you problem. Oopsie daisy. So that means getting your certificates apostilled or legally stamped through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, which we will see later on that is a requirement for most scholarships, that your documents that are provided by the government are stamped and are eligible. Like even if students, maybe just stamped, and it's yeah. And then also preparation for medical certificates at respective health centers. So you have to prove that you're in the best physical and mental state to study abroad. So that when you go there, even if you do have health risks, it's going to be minor stuff like general medical issues, not like TB or HIV AIDS or hepatitis, nothing communicable, basically. And also the translation of certificates into the required language. One like advantage of the Tanzanian government and the education Ministry of Education is that they offer their documents in English. And so if this was another case, like if they're in freaking Swahili or Arabic, you would need to translate them. So the cost that you would incur in this process, as previously stated, will be yours and yours alone and will not be dragged on to the respective governments. So this is an example of what that apostille look like. So if you go to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, your documents would need to be stamped, and this is what needs to be seen for them to actually do this like document to be credible, basically. And this is an example of the medical certificate, not the complete certificate, but what they need to see, basically, that the results are negative, that you don't have HIV, you don't have anything communicable, or that would prevent you from studying effectively at that organization. Am I talking too fast? I don't know. Okay. So who are these scholarships targeting? I think I already mentioned that lightly in the beginning, but what they're looking for specifically is students who have a deep understanding of the major or course they want to undertake. So this means people who are good at what they love. Not only talking too cool, not only do they love what they do, but they're good at it. That's what they want. And also students who know what they're talking about, such that when they're asked, they can accurately explain with detail core principles about their fields of study. So this means like if you have gone into this stage of applications where they're going to interview you, they're going to ask you, why did you apply for this scholarship? And please, what do you understand about the course that you're going to undertake? You need to know how to present all of your understanding of that course in a few sentences. And they will note if you don't know what you're talking about, And so, yeah, accurately explain with detail the core principles of the study. So, for example, like my own anecdote, a couple of weeks ago, I was doing an interview for maths. And then one of the first questions they asked, they were like, what are your favorite topics and why? And mimi nimesoma IB math higher levels. Like, yes, this is perfect. Hasa unaanza kuelezea like sijui, oh, I love differential equations, nini. And they're like, differential equations, really? Tell us about that. Basi nikaanza kuelezea that this, and this. And then they were like, what is the difference between ordinary differential equations and partial differential equations? Someone who doesn't know differential equations can't answer that question, Kwa like nikaanza kujibujibu pale, and then they were like, if you encounter this type of questions, for example, separable equations, what is your thought process? Like, what are the steps you're going to take, and how do you solve that equation? Nikaelezea, you separate variables in two sides of the equation, you integrate both sides, and then you solve for y. Yani, just 3 steps. And with that alone, they knew kwamba I knew what I was talking about, Not to pat myself on the back, lakini it's just an example kwamba when watakushtukiza basically, So if you're applying for computer science, you have to know the core principles and what it represents before you're put in a situation where you have to defend it, Yeah. And then, yeah, universities want assurance of your success. They don't want to bet on it. They want to know kabisa wewe tukimchukua, they will do good. They will know what they're talking about. They will score astoundingly, you know? So they don't want to take someone under the impression that they're going to do well and then fail eventually. That's just a waste of time and resources. So this is what they're looking for. Number two, they want people who want to contribute to their home country's development. Again, government scholarships, in essence, it's just a bilateral agreement between two governments. I give you your students come back home and they help us, you know? So going there in without any intention to better your home country, they will not kabisa kwamba that's like opportunism, you know? They want you to be a giver of resources, not just like a taker, you know? So they want you to pursue education to create change, to address systemic inequalities back home. So whether it be the education system or I don't know, the STEM related subjects are underfunded, vitu kama hivyo, like the most basic essential um, the things that are lacking that are important. You have to try to help that and fix that. And to create change that would favor the coming generations. They don't want to just fund you, they're funding your dreams. So you must have something big, something larger you're planning to do that would need the government to assist you and not your own funding or your own family. Like it's a future investment. So you have to have something that is big and that is reliable in the future. Okay. They will also, okay, yeah, they will also want students who can't afford a self-funded lifestyle in a foreign nation. They do care that you're poor, boo-hoo, but like, that's not it. That's not the only thing. Since it's not need-based, most applications will not ask for your bank statements, like in contrast to US applications which are very need-based, and they need you to apply like with a CSS profile and have financial statements, back statements to back up that you actually cannot afford them. But like, in addition to my academic performance and why I'm such a good candidate, I also can't afford this education. So having my government help me to fund my dreams, that would be an opportunity that can't be lost. Okay, so the first scholarship that we're going to talk about is the MEX scholarship in Japan. Just to as a disclaimer, you know, this isn't my favorite scholarship, but I just wanted to make it the first one so I could just get it out of the way. But it's one worth pursuing, I still say, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Okay, so this is a government scholarship provided to international students who want to study at Japanese national universities. Emphasis on national, not private ones. And most national universities are ones that provide their education in the Japanese language. And that is why this is not my most preferred university, but it still has its own perks. There's still pros that overweigh the cons. So let's get into that. Yeah, qualifications or eligibility. Number one, you must come from a country with diplomatic ties to Japan, which Tanzania is. And the age limit, you must be a minimum of 18 years for university enrollment. So minimum of 18, but maximum, you can't be older than April 2nd, 2001. So if you're born in March 31st, 2001, you do not qualify. I'm so sorry. But yes, academic background. Applicants must have completed their secondary education studies by, there's two options. It's either March 26th or March 2026 or August 2026. So one of the biggest components of this scholarship is that there is a 1-year preparatory course that is responsible for making you fluent in Japanese. So for those who are not fluent in Japanese, they need to have finished their secondary education by March 2026. Okay, what does that mean? This means that you have to have quite literally gotten either your diploma or your secondary school leaving certificate and your Form 6 results by March 2026. So that would mean you would have needed to have taken a gap year starting this year. So this is mainly for the gap year students. And yes, and for August 2026, that means it's for students who have finished their secondary school in May of 2026 and are enrolling through direct placement. Direct placement basically, well, we'll get into that, but for you to understand this academic background point is it's usually for students who are somewhat fluent in Japanese and or they have enrolled in a course that is English taught. So they don't really need to be fluent in Japanese for the first place. So for English taught courses and for those who have low Japanese fluency, August 2026 is the enrollment date for them. Number 4, even if you are applying to an English taught course, applicants must be committed to pursuing their studies in the Japanese language. And all classes will be given in the Japanese language for those who apply in March 2026. So yes, one of the eligibility criteria is that for the preparatory course, scholarship recipients will be enrolled at a preparatory educational institution designed by MEXT, the Japanese government, for the first year of the scholarship period. So this is happening simultaneously with the first year of your university studies. So while you're studying your own course, you would have needed to be studying. Actually, I feel like I'm lying to you. I'm not quite sure what this means exactly. Yes, you've raised your hand. I don't know how to see. Okay, someone's raised their hand and I don't know what they want to ask. So yeah. Um I have actually wait, give me a second. Yeah, okay. So yes, scholarship recipients will go through this preparatory course, and the curriculum basically be along the lines of the Japanese language, Japanese affairs, mathematics, English, and the humanities. And this is, oh wait, these are for the ones who are going to study humanities. So anything along the lines of like politics or sociology and stuff like that. But for those who are going to take STEM courses, the preparatory course will be the Japanese language, Japanese affairs, physics, chemistry, and biology. So, yes. Important note. If a scholarship recipient is assessed as incapable of finishing the preparatory course, the scholarship will be cancelled and they will return to their home country. So this is like umeshapata email kwamba congratulations, umepata the scholarship, you're going to study for free in Japan. And then you go there, you're like, oh, I have the scholarship, I don't really need to learn Japanese. You will be terminated and you will be sent back home. So you better be giving 100% in both your university and both the course that is designed by the government, by the Japanese government, to ensure that you are having a multifaceted experience. Let's just say that. Okay, another important aspect is direct enrollment, which I've already talked about. Applicants who have sufficient Japanese language proficiency may request to enroll directly into the university without taking the preparatory education course. For cases where the undergraduate course at the university does not require Japanese language proficiency, then they will also enroll directly without the need of a preparatory course. Does anyone have... Oh, okay, you clicked the wrong button. It's okay. I thought you had a question. Does anyone have a question up until this point? No? Okay, good. Arrival in Japan. One of the qualification criteria is that for you to apply to this university, this scholarship, you must be sure that you will be able to arrive in Japan between April 1st and April 7th. That is a must. You cannot travel to Japan in any other day between these days if you have applied for the March 2026 enrollment, the spring semester. But if you're enrolling in the fall semester through direct placement, I don't know. Okay, yeah, direct placement. You must be there 2 weeks before the start of studies. So the fall semester is more flexible in the days that you're supposed to be there. But for the spring term, they must be sure that if we have funded your studies in Japan, you will be here April 1st to April 2nd, April 7th, because they will be funding your flight, basically. So if they've bought it, they have to be sure that you've been there. And if you get there April 8th, you are going to go back home with your own money. I don't know. I'm just trying to make that very clear right now. Okay, next thing. first screening for direct placement. This is the initial selection process conducted by the Japanese embassy or whatever office that you have in your country, but in Tanzania, I'm sure we have an embassy. It determines whether you qualify for the next stages of the next scholarship application. So this includes document screening. It will go through your application forms, your academic records. It will give you written exams on the Japanese language to test you whether you have the qualifying level of Japanese required to have the scholarship. And if you're, excuse me, if you're going to have English top programs, you're also going to test your English to know that you can study those courses. And also, depending on the type of major that you've selected, whether it's a humanity or if it's a science, they are going to give you subject-based tests to test your like competency in such fields. And finally, they're going to give you an interview that is either conducted in Japanese or English, depending on the embassy. And all of this is just to make sure that you qualify for not just a scholarship as a whole, but the next stage. You see why I don't like this scholarship? There's just so much. There's so much, but I guess it's gonna be worth it. I don't know. Yeah, this is just to prepare you for the next stage. And the most important note, what sets you apart, basically. And they have stated this in the pamphlet that I've attached to this slideshow on the Japanese scholarship homepage. That they've stated. So the fact that they've stated this, they expect you to have this. They expect you to be this person. So they say that the next scholarship will be granted to those who are willing to contribute to mutual understanding between Japan and their home country by participating in activities at schools and communities during their study in Japan while contributing to the internationalization of Japan. They also make efforts to promote relations between the home country and Japan by maintaining close relations with the university after graduation. So after you graduate, you still have to keep close ties with your university to, again, contribute to this close-knit symbiosis of information. I don't know. Like you have to promote relationships between Japan and Tanzania. And you also have to cooperate with the by conducting surveys and questionnaires or cooperating with relevant projects and events conducted by the Japanese diplomatic mission after they have returned to their home countries. So basically, what they're saying here indirectly is that in your motivation letter or in your statement of purpose, in the essay that you're going to state why you want to study in Japan, why you qualify best for this scholarship, they want you to mention internationalization of Japan, how you will promote relations between Tanzania and Japan, because that is, at the end of the day, the mission of the scholarship. It's not just, it's like a political like chess piece. In the bigger scheme of things, it's not about your education, it's not about free funding, it's about politics. They want you to how do I say this? They want you to be chawa. They want you to be chawa, so please be chawa to Japan so that you ensure that you will get your scholarship. Thank you. Okay, so the scholarship benefits, they will give you a monthly stipend of 117,000 yen, which is basically 2 million shillings. It's kind of suspicious how large this amount is. I think this means that accommodation would not be provided by the university. So you would have to pay for your own rent if it is in a city or like highly populated places. So because most of the time, unis give half of this amount. So the fact that it's double, it either means that they acknowledge the painstaking means that you've gotten to take this scholarship and they're just being nice to you, or there's like, I don't know, there's like a, there's a con, like there's something that you have to pay for that's half that amount. Anyways, so that's the monthly stipend that they're going to give you. They're going to pay for your tuition, the examination fees, and airline expenses, which will be one way. So that means they're going to pay for your ticket going to school and going back home from school when the semester ends. Any trip in between that will be from your own wallet, will be from your own pocket and not the government's. Again, just wanted to make that clear. So the available courses and majors that they provide through this scholarship, so applicants must choose one field of study. Like I was saying earlier, it's either you take a science or a humanity. And In the application form, you must list three majors, which are your first, second, or third choice. You cannot mix majors from two fields of study. So in your application, you can't have physics, politics, and psychology. You either need to have dentistry, medicine, or biology, or let's be dentistry, physics. You know what I'm talking about? It's either science or humanities, and you cannot interchange the fields. You can only have one. And so these are the lists of sciences. This is course A. So the A has like the regular, math, physics, chemistry, electrical studies, electronics, hizo zote, mechanical stuff. And then there's civil engineering, chemical studies, and then there's other fields that are more inclined to mining, like stuff, bio stuff, just science, the core of science. So there's agriculture, there's forestry, food science, fisheries, and hygienic studies. Natural science C is basically just medicine or dentistry, and they form that. If I'm not quite sure, that's what I remember though. That natural science C is 6 years of study. So C is 6 years, and the rest is just 4 years. Okay, so the general rule of course selection is that majors must be selected within the same course. So that means, what does that mean? Natural sciences C only has two majors, medicine and dentistry. So an applicant who chooses their first choice from C must choose their second choice from either B or C, and their third choice must come from B. That means if your first choice is medicine or dentistry, you cannot apply for civil engineering, architecture, chemical, you cannot apply for this stuff, this A stuff. But what you can apply for is either one or two courses in C and one of them being in B. Again, no A if you want C as number one. Majors must be selected within the same course. I think what they mean is that you have to choose between the A, B, and C courses. That's what I think they mean. Okay, that was for the science. And for humanities, if you're not into science, you can choose from two, I think, either A or B. So there's law, politics, sociology, literature, economics, all the jazz. But major note, majors such as music and visual arts are ineligible majors for application. If you want to apply to Japan for a fully funded scholarship, you cannot study music and visual arts. But notice that in social sciences A, this last bullet point, imeandikwa others, bracket not found in B. So this includes other majors that are not listed, like philosophy, anthropology, psychology, all of the ologies that you can think of that are humanities that are not in A or B. They're not saying that you can't study them, lakini because they're not outlined by the scholarship, it means that you will have trouble finding universities that teach them, you know? So just to keep that in mind. Okay. Required documents. The following documents must be submitted by hand to the Japanese embassy between 15th of April 2026 and 30th of May 2026. I am saying this between these dates have passed this year and the application window has closed for this year, so the only open window is for the next. There are no email submissions. If you gather all these documents and submit them through email, they will not qualify you as an applicant. They need you to apply by hand to the specific Japanese embassy. So they need you to apply this application form, which I've linked in the slideshow, academic transcripts, and these transcripts must be stamped by the school. So if it's an international school, they have to be stamped by the counselor's office, and if it's not an international school, at least in a main office, your school and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So for it to be stamped by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, it's going to be labeled as apostilled. And that was the apostille that I showed you guys, in the beginning. They need your certificate of graduation. And if you have not graduated, for example, you're applying for the August 2026 enrollment, and No, if you're applying for the March 2026 enrollment and you're going to graduate in May, then you just submit a certificate of prospective graduation. They need a recommendation letter. Specifically, they have said this in their form, either from a class teacher or a principal. No one else. Class teacher or principal. This is Japan. Okay. I don't know what that has to do with Japan, lakini just for you to remember, Japan scholarship needs a recommendation letter from either of these two teachers. They need also a medical certificate. No pain, no physical, mental challenges that would prevent you from studying Japan, the basics. This will be available in the slideshow for you to revisit whenever you want to prepare for the scholarship if you like it. Um, they will also need a certificate of language proficiency, 2 copies, not just one, 2 copies. And the date of issue of the certificate should be no earlier than 2 years from the date of application. So if you're applying in 2026, the oldest your qualification needs to be is from 2024. If you did the SAT or TOEFL in 2023, that doesn't count as eligible for this scholarship. Note, documents must not be stapled together. I just love how specific Japan scholarships are. Like, they're so specific. They don't want you to staple your papers together. If you staple them, they will detangle them, dismantle them. Like, yes. Okay. And the applicants must submit 2 application packets. One is a complete set of the original documents, and the other is a set of their copies. Now, this is controversial. I don't know what they mean by this. I don't know if they want your original from 630 or your original SUI based in math. I don't know what they mean. Or they just want 2 copies of everything. It's kind of shady how they want your original documents. Like, this is a requirement that they've clearly stated in their pamphlet, which I'm going to link in the slideshow, so for you to double check yourself. But it's just something that I thought was important for you to know. Yeah, this is the pamphlet that I was talking about right here. And not to mention, they have a specific interview that even after you finished all of the embassy checks, running through your documents, you've submitted everything, and then they want to make sure that you're perfect for the scholarship, they have to do an interview. And they have interview questions from past years that I've linked here. They're from 2014 to 2019. I'm not sure if it's for this scholarship or I'm mixing with somewhere else, but I have linked very good questions that they want you to prepare for in this slideshow. Huge disclaimer. The people who are making the final decisions is not Tanzania, it is not the embassy of Japan in Tanzania, it is the Japanese government itself that makes the final decisions. And they do this by consulting both the preparatory schools, the 1-year long school that you've taken to learn Japanese and math and physics, and they also consult the potential universities which offer a desired course. So they, interrelate with each other. They try to find a consensus, and the main decision maker is the Japanese government. So the factors that are influencing their decision: number one, your exam results from the initial embassy screening. The screening, you have to go to interview, yeah, that one. So the exam results will determine the final decision. Your grades during preparatory school in Japan, and your chosen major or field of study, kama haipo, and the university capacity and regional distribution. Basically, is there enough space in the class for you? So it might have all these applications, but the course that you've chosen just isn't open for that year. And the key restrictions that you have to know about is that you yourself, you can choose your field of study, you can choose your major, but you cannot choose your university. It is assigned to you. And no appeals or changes can be done once they have made their decision. And the location of this assigned university can be anywhere in Japan. So please do not limit yourself into thinking that you'll only study in Tokyo or Kyoto or Suiwapi. It might be Hiroshima. It might be anywhere. So yes, please do not have any biases or expectations while applying to this university. This scholarship. I think that's it. Yes, this is what I was talking about, that there is a interview and subject test questions that they have during their embassy screening. And so I've linked the questions here that you can try to prepare for and study. Yeah, useful links. Okay, Yes, we're done with the Japan one. The second one is my personal favorite. It is the Haydar Aliyev International Education Scholarship, and it is in Azerbaijan. This is a country that is very obscure. Not many people have even heard of it before. I most certainly have not heard of it before when I was doing my university applications. It's a cute little country, but they offer big money to people who want it. Okay, don't quote me on that. They don't offer big money, but they just offer an education that is expensive. So, background information, this is a scholarship that is in honor of the national leader of Azerbaijan, Heydar Aliyev. It was established in July of 2023 and is to be offered on an annual basis for 5 years. So, this is the third year that it's been in operation. So, there's only two application rounds left. So, that means after 2027, this scholarship does not exist anymore. So, that's why it is so exclusive, and like the opportunities that you can get in here is unmatched. Each year, 100. You see how any they're so flexible. Each year, 100 applicants receive this scholarship, but this also includes a master's and PhD. It's not just bachelors. Tanzania, being a member of the non-alignment movement, they have duration of the bachelor's program is usually 4 to 5 years, pretty standard. So scholarship benefits, tuition fees, international flights, again they are one way, and monthly allowance of 100 Azerbaijani baht, which is basically 47 USD, 1.2 million shillings, and this is to be spent on textbooks, accommodation, and daily expenses. So accommodation is stated there because there's some universities that do offer their dorms and some which will expect you to rent out. So you might have to spend half of that 1.2 million shillings on renting monthly. So yeah. Medical insurance, they have a yearly allowance of 117 USD for 10 months each year, except for July and August, because that is when they expect you to be at home in your home country. And they will also help with visa and registration. They offer a single entry visa to Azerbaijan, as well as a temporary residence permit for the stay in the country for the period of each academic year. Again, all expenses spent in the application process will not be reimbursed by the scholarship stakeholders. Just to make that clear. Okay, so this is the application timeline that I have screenshot from the pamphlet. Basically here, the first step is that you need to submit all of the documents which we're later to list later on. You have to submit them to the ministry of your relevant government authorities country. So this year it was from March 15th to May 15th. You had to physically hand them into the ministries in Dodoma, and then after this they will review them. I mean, the Ministry of Education will review them and see whether they're eligible or not for the next stage. And so by, let's say, by May 31st until June 1st, you will be notified about whether you have made it to the next stage. And if you have made it to the next stage, if you have sent it to the ministry, they have checked it, they said yes, let's send them to Azerbaijan to study whatever they want to study. They will ask you to register your application online. This is the second stage. You have to register online uh, into the CIECAS. But CIECAS, what it really is, it's like an online portal. It's the Azerbaijani government's online portal for people who want to apply to universities in the country. So once you have already applied, you basically just scan the physical copies and put them in there. And then after submitting, the deadline was on June 20th. So, oopsies. So from June 20th until June 15th, they will review your application. That means the Ministry of Education of Azerbaijan and Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Azerbaijan will see your documents and they will determine whether or not you have submitted all of them. And if you have, whether or not you are eligible. And so from July 16th until August 15th, the ones who have successfully made it into the next stage, who are eligible, they will be notified that they have been selected for the scholarship. And then on September 15th, they will need to start the academic year. So submit your application material at the Azerbaijan desk office at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So this is for the first stage here. So from March 15th to May 15th, yeah, you needed to go physically and hand your documents. And once the Tanzania's Ministry of Foreign Affairs approves your application, you have to submit an online application, what I just said over here. And then your application is sent to the Azerbaijan's. I literally just said this. Okay. Yes. So during this June 20th to June 15th period, they will be calling their candidates to online interviews by the respective unis. So if you have applied to 3 universities and those 3 universities have accepted your application, you will need to do 3 different online interviews to, again, to determine your eligibility. Required documents: a nomination form, which I have linked over here. It's basically just what your full name is, where do you live, your copy of your passport, stuff like that. And then they also need copy of transcripts from your prior high school. Your average must not be less than 70. They want to make sure that you are smart. And a copy of the medical certificate, including HIV/AIDS, hepatitis B or C tests, like the one that I screenshot in the beginning of the slideshow. A copy of a valid passport, a CV if you have not started your corporate journey. They just want you to have an extracurricular activities list that you've listed, and English proficiency requirements, which is a minimum of IELTS 5 or TOEFL 40. But if your language of education, your previous what, what if the language medium of, oh my god, I can't speak. If you spoke English in your last school, that's good enough. That's what I'm trying to say. And then you need a motivation letter and local and international awards related to your major, if you have any, if applicable. Not necessarily, but if you do, that's a huge plus. Okay, just a prerequisite for the docs, what they must be. All documents must be in English. And all documents must be in PDF format, not JPG, not JPEG, must be in PDF. And the medical certificate must not be older than 3 months at the time of application. And all certificates of education and identification, which means your passport or your NIDA, they must be apostilled or stamped by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to ensure their credibility, that they truly have come from the government of Tanzania, and sio kwamba umeenda Sinza umeprintisha hapo faster faster. You know what I'm trying to say? So if you have any leaving certificates, any transcripts, or your passport, anything that is to present your level of education or your identification, they must be stamped by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And disclaimer, official nomination from your Ministry of Foreign Affairs does not guarantee the grant of the scholarship by the Republic of Azerbaijan. So that means if we have reached this stage, from May, yani like if the government of Tanzania has given you the thumbs up to continue your application to make it go online, that is not a guarantee that you will get the full scholarship. Just wanted to point that out there. Okay, government nomination. What does it look like if your government has nominated you? Upon government nomination, an email will be sent to notify you of their choice, and it will look like this. So, dear candidate, thank you for your interest in applying to Azerbaijan. They will clearly state the time that you have until you have to submit your online application. So they will say, like, okay, sir, umepata this stage, please apply online. Okay, here wanasema kwamba like after logging into the application portal, you have to choose the admission channel. Hii ni crop. Lakini basically they give you full steps what you need to do. So in case there are steps that you didn't understand or steps that you didn't remember, they will simply remind you of what needs to be done and when. I hope I'm really clear on that. So you don't have to memorize this whole all of this. Well, you kind of do. It's expected. Lakini, even if there's a step that you didn't understand, you can just email them quickly, like, hi, I hope you're doing well, I was applying. Lakini there's this step, phrase, quote, kabisa kwamba inasema hivi, mimi sijaelewa, naomba unielezee. It's very easy like that. And so this is like the heads up that you're given that you can apply online. And if you do want to apply online, which you should register to the portal of the Ministry of Science and Education of the Republic of Azerbaijan. And you register with your personal email. And then Once you go to the home page and you're already registered, you click apply to higher and secondary special education institutions. So basically just apply to universities. And then you press apply. After you press apply, there's three stages that you have to input your information. So there's like you have to choose the admission channel, which is again the Haider Aliyev International Education Grant Program. Very long name, but you have to press that because the other options are either to be self-funded or funded by your embassy. You have to make sure that you press this one. And then you fill in your personal information, which is just your first name, your last name, your gender, date of birth, passport number, citizenship, where you live, your address, the country that you live in, and you have to state whether or not you have a permanent residence in the Republic of Azerbaijan. Basic stuff, personal information. And then here comes the admission information, the stuff that would take you a whole week to fill in because you don't have the documents. So one of the things that you have to submit is an apostilled copy of your passport, like your passport's copy, but with the stamp of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to show its credibility. And the medical certificate that we were talking about, you just input that in. Shouldn't be older than 3 months. Uh, Document about previous education. Basically, if you've already graduated, you put in your leaving certificate or your graduation, the plaque that you're given at your graduation ceremony, and then a legalized apostilled version of the document about previous education. So basically, your IB diploma. But what I did, because I have applied to this scholarship, is that I put in because at this point, as I was applying, my previous education was my O level education, not my A level education. So I just plugged in my Form 4 cheti ambacho kimekuwa stamped at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and then this legalized document I put in my IB diploma because I feel like it would have been asking for the exact same thing, in other words, if I just plugged in my IB diploma in both. You know what I'm trying to say? Like I had to make sure the different documents, so I just put in my O level one and A level one. And then in the email that I just showed you, where is it? Right here. While it is here, like once you've gone to this stage, you don't really need to put in this document right here. It's basically saying this document, but in Azerbaijani language. So they're like, you don't need to do this right now. But the other one that you do need to put in is a certificate of necessary knowledge of the language of instruction. So basically an English proficiency certificate. And I did the SATs, so I just plugged in my SAT scores pale, nikaenda college board, nikaiprint, scan, stuff like that. Lakini if you didn't do the SATs, you can quickly ask your secondary school wakuandikia letter kwamba hello, huyu hapa tunamtambua kama alikuwa a student from labda January 9th 2019 mpaka sijui November 2020 ngapi huko. Amesoma all of the like 9 subjects in English, so they're very proficient in the language. For example, in the English language subject, they're getting A's. If you're studying IB, maybe they have been predicted a specific good grade. You know, if you don't have the scores, they have explicitly stated kwamba you don't need the scores if you have studied in a medium that is English beforehand. Okay, you're also expected to choose 3 different universities, each with a different course. What this means is that on this portal, I unfortunately forgot to screenshot it. They're going to ask you to fill in 3 applications. So you do this step, all of these steps, you do them 3 times, each with a different university and a different course. So if you apply to University A and B and University C, you can't apply to all 3 of them for, let's say, political science. University A has to be political science, B labda iwe mathematics, C iwe psychology, you know? So 3 different universities, each with a different course. Okay, now that you've applied online, the evaluation period. Once you've sent your application, it will be sent to be approved by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Ministry of Education and Science of Azerbaijan. So what they're saying is that once you go into your account, because this is the CCAS basically. What I've been showing you all this time is a CCAS application online. And so once you go to your homepage, you're going to see the application process. Once you've already sent in your drafts, your 3 drafts from the 3 different universities for the 3 different courses, you Each one is going to be reviewed by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Azerbaijan and the Ministry of Education and Science of Azerbaijan. So after they have been approved by both ministries, they go to the individual institutions. So like University A will need to go through your application, University B and C, kwa hiyo, yeah. And then after they have approved your application that you have all of the required documents, they will call you in for an interview. And so after that interview, they will either confirm you or reject you. So they give you this timeline, which I thought was really handy. So that's why I screenshot it. And yeah, the universities you apply to then approve your application, notify you about the coming interview. If you've successfully attempted the interview, they will label you as approved on the CCAS website and notify you on the coming days about your application. Okay, this is a list of important lists that I think everyone should have if they want to apply to Azerbaijan. So there's a list of universities that do accept students through this scholarship and the available programs and their language of instructions. So you want to make sure, once you are applying for these universities, number one, they have the course that you want to study, and that specific course is taught in English because most of these universities ambazo ni public wanafundisha in their native language. So you want to make sure they teach in English, and yeah. And then there's a scholarship pamphlet which has all of this information that I've showed you guys up to this very moment. So if you want to see the raw version of that, I've linked everything in this presentation. Useful contacts. I want to emphasize again, like being confused is it's very human of you, like it's okay to not know what's going on and have so many questions and be overwhelmed. So this is where these contacts come in very handy. You have the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, you have the Ministry of Science and Education. If you have any technical issues with the website, because the website is very faulty, I must say, because there's a time you might submit all of your documents and all your files, and then once you log in again, they have disappeared. So just communicate all of the troubles that you have faced in your application of the questions, and I'm sure you will be met warmly with solutions. That is it for the Azerbaijani scholarship. Next to the Turkey government scholarship. So this is a government-funded competitive scholarship program awarded to outstanding students to pursue full-time or short-term program at top universities in Turkey. This scholarship is open to candidates from all countries, and the application period is usually early January to mid-February. So when you miss this, you have to wait for the next coming year. So you have to make sure that from early January to mid-February, your ears are up for the Turkey scholarship. So this scholarship includes a monthly stipend of 4,500 Turkish lak, I don't remember, which is basically like tatu kwa mwezi, it's fair. Tuition fees are covered, one-way flight ticket, general health insurance, accommodation, and a 1-year Turkish language course. This is the Japanese scholarship all over again. This is the application timeline. I'm sorry if you guys can hear the background noise, but I don't live in the quietest street. Application timeline. So for this year, the application period is between January 10th until February 20th. The evaluation process was between March and April, 1 month. The interview period was 2 months. And then after June until early August, they have now announced the results. So we're in July. There's people who haven't received the results who are going to. And then from August, utapewa like all of the documents that you need to sign, your visa requirements, all of that stuff. So basically from January up to August, you're applying to this scholarship. Eligibility criteria: you must be under the age of 21. And academic performance must also not be less than 70% average, and you must have Tanzanian citizenship. The normal duration of the scholarship award is 1 year Turkish course plus the 4 to 6 years of undergraduate studies. So it's not 1 plus 4 years of study. That 1 year of Turkish language course is within the 4 years of undergraduate studies. I just wanted to mention that. Also, all Turkey scholarships or awardees who do not possess C1 level certificate for Turkish proficiency, this includes those who have been placed into English or other language medium programs, They must attend a 1 year Turkish language course and attain the C1 level certificate by the end of the academic year. End of the academic year. That means that they're already enrolled and enlisted into the university they've applied to through the scholarship. This is not a year that is not, and it's outside of the school year. You get it? Like it's with, okay, I think you get it. Many programs in Turkish universities are taught in Turkish language, unfortunately. But however, some departments in university may offer programs in English. So candidates who want to study English short programs must be able to provide an internationally accepted language proficiency certificate. So this means SAT, IFL, nini inaitwaje? IFL, TOEFL, hivyo. Like you must verify that the language of your desired course, huh? You must verify the language of instruction of your desired course while choosing programs. Yes, in the application system, you have to make sure, like the course that you're choosing to study, it is in English. And if it is in English, you must be able to provide proof that you know English, which should be easy, considering that you've studied all of the years before this in English. Okay. Required documents. You must have a valid passport, a passport sized photograph, a copy of national exam results. Again, they have not stated this. Again, it's always good that if you have a document that's provided by either your school or your government, that they have a stamp and a signature. If it's not from the school and if it's not from the government, at least let it be from a lawyer, a wakili, just let it, yeah, provide proof that it is a credible document. You must also provide A-level academic transcripts across multiple terms. So if your school has 3 terms, you have to make sure that you can go to the school and ask for them, and they will print them out for you, and they will show your performance from the beginning until the end of the specific years that you've studied there. So they want that. They also want English language proficiency results, all of this stuff, and secondary school leaving certificate. And if you have not have that, if you don't have that, you can have a temporary graduation certificate and a copy of, I already said this. Okay, oopsies. How to apply. Create your personal account on the Turkey Scholarships application system. You upload all required documents and activity. Yes, you have these documents, right? You also need your activities list of extracurriculars and the prizes. So these are the non-negotiables. They must be there. And these two are like, if you really want your application to stand out, have a list of extracurricular activities and the prizes that you have gotten from being an outstanding student, basically. And you list your preferred university and desired course or program. Unlike the Japanese one, this Turkish one, you can actually choose which university you prefer out of all of the ones that are listed and your desired course. So you do have some kind of autonomy here. And yes, you must write an original letter of intent exploring your preferences, expectations, and goals for the future. I've quoted this. I have put these in quotes because this is exactly what is written in the pamphlets that I've linked in this slideshow, which is basically asking you to write a motivation letter. Why are you applying here? What are your motivations, your goals for the future? What are your preferences for Turkey? What about Turkey has stood out? What about its culture and maybe its curriculum, its style of teaching? Like you have to be very heartfelt and original. You have to be. ChatGPT can help you in these stages. They might give you an outline of everything, like any. It's like a fingerprint. It's like your own blood, sweat, and tears into this letter. It will be acknowledged, and it will help you to set yourself apart from the pool. Okay, and after a careful review of all the documents that are needed, you simply press send. Note: all applications are online. There is nothing physical, no embassy work. Like, even if you choose not to have your documents stamped by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, if you want to, just send stuff, you can send stuff because it's online. And this is the portal that they have put for you to send your application online. Okay, so after you've sent your application, the evaluation and selection process. There's stages to this. And the first one is the preliminary assessment, which is basically the time before the interviews, before the test, that they've just received your application, they're like, is this a good recipient of the scholarship? Let's see. So, one of the qualities that they're highlighting whilst they're flicking through your application is number one, academic achievement. Have you had outstanding academic achievement? Even if your achievement is somewhat mediocre, even if it is the 70% that is the limit, like what are your academic interests, your career goals? If your numbers can't show your dedication for you, then at least make sure that you have mentioned that in your motivation letter. Again, the original intent and goals that you want to achieve. Like, what is it that's special about you? What makes you different, basically? And also, one thing that I also stress so much, it is the consistency of preferences. All parts of the application form should create a whole picture of the applicant. No confusion should be created within the admissions office. What is consistency? How do I, yani you become as clear as possible. It's almost a form of repetition. Like, it's a skillful repetition of things that matter, like if you say maybe, okay, let's start with the simple stuff. In one document you say that your birthday is March 9th, 2006, and then another document in a semani September 3rd. It's like, which one is real? Okay, there's no consistency. Aside from that, more deep stuff, unasema labda, mimi hapa ni single parent family, natoka huku, mamangu yuko unemployed, ndio maana naomba. Alafu huku inaonyesha kwamba like, I don't know, any kwamba like your father is a very present figure in your family. They don't know which side to believe. It's like it causes, it's double-mindedness. Basically, they don't want double-mindedness, they want consistency, because truth is consistent. The only time there is inconsistency is either if someone is lazy or if they're lying. Okay, so you have to make sure that all of the data that you've put in, number one, it is true and it is consistent. Okay. Also, they pay attention to the content of the letter of intent. I think there was a whole webinar the past couple of days on how to write a letter of intent. Lakini it should be very straightforward, not necessarily short. It shouldn't be short. Lakini it should be detailed in a way that sets you apart. And also the participation in extracurricular activities. Everything that you do after school, or just a hobby that you've picked up out of habit, or just something creative, something that serves your community, or something that gets you in shape. All of these are the parts of the application that form a whole picture. That is a whole picture that is formed. So you can't say kwamba like, mimi, I have suffered back injuries since I was a child, I couldn't move, and that was the greatest challenge that I've ever persevered through, living through that illness. And then hapo kwenye extracurricular activities wanasema you've been a runner since you're in 3rd grade. How can you run with a back injury? You know what I'm trying to say? Like, that's just an example. Like, no confusion should be created within the admissions office. This is the preliminary assessment that they do right after getting your application. Number 2, the tests. After approving your application, there is a 30-question quantitative test consisting of mathematics, geometry, and logic question held for undergraduate candidates, and it is done within 1 hour. These tests are done for those applying to health sciences, the sciences, and engineering. So for those applying through humanities, I don't think they have to do any math tests at all. Lakini candidates applying in these fields are expected to demonstrate a sufficient level of English to be able to comprehend and respond to the test questions. The test questions are developed in line with the Turkish curriculum, so applicants are expected to be familiar with the core of the Turkish curriculum. I've linked some sample mock exam questions here, like there's questions and answers in case you want to do your own revision. And they have very much emphasized in their website that they expect people to revise before these tests. Okay, next. The next stage after these tests is the face-to-face interviews, and they will take place on the same day as the test. And they will be conducted by the presidential delegations, which is basically just an interview committee of academics and experts. So this might be maybe the professors of that specific course that you're applying to, or just high-performing students who are in their last year, or associates, something like that. They will be conducted in morning and afternoon sessions. Candidates will be informed about their time slots. They're usually emailed about this, so nothing to stress about. Candidates applying these fields are expected to demonstrate. Uh, Oopsies, that's not supposed to be there. Sorry. Yeah. Um, the interview lasts 15 to 30 minutes and is carried out in the following format. You say hello, welcome, and interests. They check your documents to know what they can ask about you specifically. They ask about the purpose of the candidate's application. Again, if you do get into the interview stage and they ask you deep questions about why you have applied. Again, these scholarships are bilateral agreements between governments. They want to make sure that you will have something to contribute back to your home country, but you also have something to bring into this new international community. Kwa hiyo, again, just that internationalization, that should be your goal in how you defend your purpose for application. But the most important thing, if I can tell you anything in this, how many minutes I've been talking right now, the most important thing that they will test in this interview is your academic knowledge and career goals. Not even career goals, they will test your academic knowledge. They will ask you difficult questions, like if you're applying for study process automation engineering or study computer science, they will ask you what you know about coding, what you know about the Pythons, do JavaScript, if you have any experience in these fields, or how might artificial intelligence help contribute to the development of these new fields in technology, whether it poses a threat, what's your take on it basically. They want to know about you think and you think deeply. You think not just about your personal interests, but how you might contribute to the development of this field. So academic knowledge, make sure before an interview unasoma the content of your course, what it's about, or if it's not your content, then what was I talking about? Sorry, something distracted me. Yes, academic knowledge. Just make sure you're prepared. You're prepared academically and you know what you're going to talk about. You know what you love and you love it and you talk about it in detail. Okay, closing and candidate questions to the committee. This is where they'll give you a chance to ask any clarifying questions. And honestly, I can't really tell you which questions you should ask. Like you always have something to ask. It means you care about your perception, how like the board of interviewees, how they view you. They want to see you as someone who thinks deeply, who has questions to ask. Well, when someone asks you, do you have any clarifying questions that you would like to ask us? Useme, I don't know. It's pretty clear. No, be smart. They want people who are smart and think for themselves. So yeah, final assessment. The results of the interview of the applicants conducted by the interview are evaluated by a selection committee, and a list of applicants who received scholarships is created. It is from these interviews, like this is the most make or break part of the whole application process. Please do not take it lightly. It is a privilege to even reach this stage. There's so many people who have been cut out from this process, and so take it seriously. Okay, this is the link to the Turkish Scholarship homepage where you can go through all of this information for yourself, and I think you have to apply there as well. So I have linked this over here. And now, the last but not least scholarship, the Hungarian Scholarship Stipendium Hungaricum. It is a very competitive, it is very well known in Europe. In Europe, in the Middle East, there's so many applicants from all over the world. So one of its benefits is the tuition fees. They pay your fees and international flights, again, one way. Any trip in between uh, the admission trips are going to come from your own wallet. Monthly allowance of 43,700 half, which is basically laki tatu. So each month unapewa laki tatu, you can use that in textbooks or in your accommodation or daily expenses, stuff like that. Medical insurance, they give you a yearly allowance of basically laki tano. Again, it's just general medical issues. It's not like surgical stuff. So anything that is within this insurance, they will cover to make sure that you can study there. Accommodation. Some universities under these scholarships, they offer free dorms, and if they are in very population dense regions, then they contribute this much money, 4,000 half per month to rental costs in big cities. So even if there are no dorms, you can rest assured that they will pay that for you if you do need to pay rent. Again, all expenses spent in the application process will not be reimbursed by the scholarship stakeholders. So the Stipendium Hungaricum program is based on effective bilateral education cooperation with setting partners, which basically means it's a give and take relationship between the Hungarian government and the Tanzanian government, and all other governments. Bro, I'm sorry, someone's calling me, and I don't know. Okay, let me just continue. Um, the home countries are basically the sending partners. Those are the uh, we have 15 minutes left. Oh no. Okay. So, I have a lot to say, but I am going to leave this slideshow here. Again, this is just a repetition of everything that we've said previously. Haijitofautisha with any other scholarship that I have presented today. It's basically the exact same thing, but just for scholarship. I have left everything that you might need in this presentation, and I feel like this is the best time to leave it to Elvira right now. Thank you so much for listening. I hope this was helpful in one way or another. And yeah, let me stop sharing my screen.
Hello everyone, I am Elvira, a medical student from Start straight ahead. So, yeah, here I'll be talking about local scholarships. When we talk about local scholarships, sorry, it started in the middle and everything. Yeah, there, local scholarships. So, local scholarships, these are the scholarships that are offered within the country for the benefit of the students in that country or that specific locality. I would not want to define everything because we have little time left. Okay, the contents of my slide, the first one will be the introduction, of which I'll mention again the local scholarships. Then I'll go straight to the scholarships that I have prepared for you. Whereas we have Samia Scholarship, we have Mo Dewji Foundation Scholarship, we have Karim G Scholarship, BOT Scholarship. Yeah. Then we'll go for the general requirements of all of the scholarships and what you need to know before you go for the scholarship. I hope everybody can see the screen. Anyone, unmute your mic and tell me.
We can see the screen.
We can see the screen. Thank you. Okay. As I said before, local scholarships, this is a financial award for education that is offered by organizations, business companies, or institutions within a specific geographical area, and these scholarships are usually targeted to students from that area. For that reason, they have fewer applicants, unlike the international scholarship, and if they have fewer applicants, that means there will be less competition compared to the international scholarships. So why do undergraduate scholarships, the local undergraduate scholarships, matter? These are the reasons generally. The first thing is that they provide essential funding for that student to pursue their education, especially the ones who are going to private universities, which might be kind of expensive for Tanzanian environment. And then they are focused on Tanzanian students only. That means you won't compete with international students, there'll be less competition, and you're privileged as far as you're a Tanzanian. Then, yeah, as I said before, they have less competition compared to the international scholarship, and also they encourage local development in the priority of the sectors like STEM, health, and economics, whereas STEM we all know is the science subject issues, mathematics, accountancy, and the like. The very first one in my list is Samia Scholarship, of which now this one has a greater limit because you have to be selected by the HESLEB, which is the Loan Board of Tanzania. It's a scholarship specifically established to help students who go for STEM subjects, combinations for high school, yeah. The STEM combinations. Those students, those who are highly performing students, often they go to up to 1.6, division 1.6. selected number of students, maybe 700, 600, 500 or something, those students are offered a scholarship, whereas after their names are already shortlisted, that's when they are allowed to apply for that scholarship. If they don't want the scholarship and their names are shortlisted, then fine, they won't do it. But you only do it unless you're selected. And for those who are selected, it's not a very complicated thing applying for it. But mainly in this scholarship, I would like to talk about the extended scholarship. So I'll talk about the normal, then the extended scholarship. The overview. This is a government-funded scholarship through the Tanzanian Loan Board, TESLEB. It's for high-achieving students in the Form 6 national examination in science subjects. The eligibility, the very first one is that you must be a Tanzanian citizen. Then you must have high performance in math, biology, chemistry, physics. Specifically, oftenly, it's division 1.6 and above, of which sometimes even the 1.6 are left out because they only take a specific number. You must be, okay, about the admission, let's leave that out. This was a problem. You must be shortlisted by the National Loan Board. Like your name should appear in the list of students who are eligible for the application. So you don't ask for it first. They give you the names that you can apply, then after that, you will go for the application. I hope that's clear. Then how to apply? You use the normal loan board website, whereas everybody uses it for application of loan. I think most of the Form 6 leaving students have already seen it. Yes. So through that one, you'll have a specific project for Samia scholarship. Whereas if your name was already shortlisted, when you just enter that place, when you enter your examination number, it recognizes you as a student who is eligible for Samia scholarship. That's why you fill your details and everything. It does not have complications like the other scholarships where you have to go for interviews and something. No, it's not like that. So just after the results, the Form 6 results, I think somewhere before the universities have already released the selected students, you receive the names for Samia scholarship. That's when you apply, then your university's selection will also come. Yeah, that's it. Then the main thing you have to know is, if you understand a scholarship, you must maintain what they want. And for our universities here, they want a GPA of 3.8 and above. So you must maintain that. When you go below that, then you're out of the scholarship. So they'll stop everything that they used to provide. It provides up to 5 million for your tuition fee. Then also it provides your meals and accommodation, just according to the HESLB calculations. Like you have money for your accommodation, meals, 10,000 per day. Yeah. Also you have money for your books and stationery that will be provided. What other thing? Those are the main things. It just does everything like the loan board, but just it's a scholarship. That means you don't have to pay it back like the loan board side. My main concern is the Samia Excellence Scholarship. Hopefully, for those who have just completed their Form 6, you have seen a list given of 100 students who are selected to go study DS and AI issues, data science and AI. So, for those maybe who didn't pass through the documents clearly, then I'm here to help you passing through whatever you have to know for that scholarship. So, it's 100 students from PCM, those who performed highly. They are selected by the Ministry of Education, whereas this thing was just launched a few weeks ago. Their aim is to have data scientists and people who are specialized in AI. As you know, these days, everything, everywhere, AI, technology, all that. So their aim is that they'll have to get those students, train them, give them the prior training, which will show what thing would they be able to specialize in. Like the performance of the first training will determine whether you can go for data science or AI issues or nuclear science, issues like that. It's for masters and undergraduate, of which mainly I'm talking about the undergraduate studies here. So the first thing that you'll do, they'll take you for a camping of 10 months in Nelson Mandela University. You'll go there for 10 months and study. They'll pay everything, everything. That's what is written there. Tuition, fee, allowance, living cost, and everything for your studies for those 10 months. Your performance in those 10 months, the skills that you gain, okay, and the main thing, they want you to become a patriot. So you learn more about how things go in the country. You learn a lot, which will help you gain, like, okay, the skills that you gain from that session of the 10 months will determine what university would you be best for. They'll have the qualifications, like if you are able to pass to this extent, for this you can go for this, you have the options, then you'll be selected to those. When you're selected to those options, they'll do the university placements. That means they'll be the ones for your applications to those universities, of which so far, till now, IT, Madras University in Zanzibar, and they said some Russian universities already, they have partnership with this program. But soon, there will be other universities that these people can go study, specifically what? AI, data science, nuclear science, and stuff like that. So it's actually a very potential thing. Yeah. Their main scholarship is that to focus on those 10 months. After that, they'll do the university placement with scholarship along with it. The way it looks like is that the part after the 10 months, they'll seek a better scholarship for you to study abroad. Yeah. So I think you need to know that. That's all about this extended scholarship. It's a very potential one. For those who got it, I think it's worthwhile going for it. We don't have such people yet, and you'll have to go and come back working here. So I think it's a good option. Then Model Foundation Scholarship. This is a nice scholarship. Yeah, let's go into it first of all. So it's in 2016. As you know, for the companies that are within our country, if it's a very high profiting company and stuff like that, there is a requirement, which is a crucial requirement. It's a must. They should give back to the community. What do they give back? They do great things which bring impact to the community, and one of them is providing scholarship for students. Like, this is an option. They can do big charity events, they can do construction events and something, but scholarship issues. So moderate scholarship, it supports up to 100 to the slide for the image. The eligibility for a person to apply to more scholarship, the first one is that you must be a Tanzanian student. As we say, these are local scholarships, so they focus on Tanzanian students. Then you must be admitted to a Tanzanian university with partnership. This is one of the, I think it's I don't know how should I call it, a challenge of this scholarship. The university must be in partnership with more scholarship. Then I guess some samples here. When you go to the website, you have all of the universities that are in partnership with it. We have UDOM, we have VIT, we have UDISM, we have CBE, SUA, NIT, most university. So these are the ones with partnership. These are just examples, there are more. So if the university you are admitted to have partnership with it, then that's one of the eligibility criteria in applying for it. You must have strong academic performance, of which everybody would want. Then you should demonstrate financial need and leadership capabilities. This is one of the important things to consider in the local scholarships. A good number of them focus on students who have financial need, but their potential. Like, you can do something, but you can't go for it because you don't have the funds to go for it. I like the one person was talking about, like, they want to know how much knowledge do you have. They don't give you something big because you cannot afford. They give you because you deserve going to such a thing. Now, like that, on this side, they consider your financial background. Like, if it's not really good, like if it's a hindrance for you to get what you want, then they're there to fund you so you can get it. So they really, really, really consider financial need. They really consider it. Then coverage, okay, there's tuition fee, mandatory fees in the university, like maybe the registration issues. There is a fee that you put there for your ID, 10,000, I don't know, student union, 30,000, stuff like that, which are listed in the fee structure as the essential things that a student must pay during the registration. All of that will be paid by them. The books and stationery accommodation, meal allowance, research, money, and all that, it will be provided by the foundation. Then, yeah, application timeline. For most coaches, it's one of the courses that come very, very late people can apply for it, because at that moment you'll be struggling with, I should finish up everything before local university, and yeah, many people cannot see, many people cannot work because it's on the last day before university. It often comes at the end of September or even early October. So we expect the university to start taking back students in 14th of October, like maybe last year, 14th of October. Just the first day of October, that's when the scholarship was released, like the application was released. So you have to consider the timelines are around 30th September to 10th October, somewhere there. Okay. Those 10 days. Then, being a more scholar, you are expected to maintain a GPA of 3.5 and above. As far as you drop below that GPA, that means you're giving some essay work to do, some competitions. Like, they try their level best to make you do enough extracurriculars, because even as you apply, they want you to have some issues with extracurriculars before. So they try to help you maintain activities not only in your study area. But along with that, they say This mentorship and career development post-graduation. Also, many people who study under more scholarships get chances to work under more organizations. So, because you have to work with them. Anyways, but it's a good thing because some people say because there are less opportunities for employment out there, getting a scholarship which will also offer you a work later is worthwhile. So it's a matter of choice. Then to my favorite, Karimji Scholarship. Uh, Karimji, I think you've all heard of Karimji Hall, Karimji something something. Yeah. So Karimji, this is a company which was introduced by Indians back then in the old days. They started dealing with various issues in the country, development issues. They were rich. It was a very rich clan that lived in Tanzania, but from India. Later on, they brought up companies which deal with Toyota importation, so Toyota vehicles and issues into the country. And that's their main business, but they have a lot of other things that they do. So, being a big company in Tanzania, that means they have to offer back to the community. And what they do is scholarship. That's one of them. I think something, yeah, YST, which is a science conference thing, it is abroad for studies and stuff like that. So Karimji offers both undergraduate and postgraduate. For undergraduate, there are no age limits. Just like all the previous one, they don't give you age limits. There are no age limits for undergraduate, but for postgraduate, they have age limits. Then okay, let's go for it. Eligibility. You must be a Tanzanian citizen as listed before, it's a local scholarship. Then high academic performance, Division 1 or equivalent GPA, Division 1 with the from 6. Then it gives to all students, yes, but female applicants and students with disabilities are prioritized in this scholarship. It doesn't mean they give more to only girls. Like our years, it was equal, but that way. More of the preference is to girls and those people with disabilities. You must be admitted to an accredited Tanzanian university. They don't have limits of what university you should go to, but you should be admitted in a certain university. Like this scholarship comes at the time when the universities have already given back the results, like you are accepted to this university. So by the time you are applying, you must be accepted in a certain university already. Then the coverage, tuition fee, any admission, birth fee, possible living and academic support. Okay, what they cover is what you actually need: books and stationery, research money. Yeah, that's meals and accommodation, which are the obvious ones. Then the application open is August. When is August? I think the current procession's 30th August. They'll release the application form for the undergraduate students. But one thing they really consider is the impact you bring back to the community. So you really have to know what impact can you bring back. You must have a skill or something good to convince them, because they don't have any bindings like maybe after you're done, you work towards stuff, you're done with this. But the moment you go there, I have a reason to study this. Why do you want to study this? Maybe I want to become somebody. Why? How will you bring back something good to the community from aspect all of this fees, all of this element? Yeah, that's important. About the requirements also, they'll be seen in the next slide. Then I think, is this the last one? Yeah, the last one, DOT scholarship, of which is less spoken of. Not many people really know about this. Some of them know, but it makes them a bit lazy to apply because they'll see the forms online, whereas you have to print the forms. After printing the forms, you have to fill, and filling after filling, you take them to the DOT branch around you. Now, there are not even very many, like it's there, Dodoma. Now you have to think of that. Many people ignore the scholarship, but it's a very good scholarship too. And I forgot one thing. In Karimji, there is no GPA limit, but all you have to do is not to discontinue from university. And they'll need your semester results. After every semester, you have to upload the results. You have to send them the results via email. Yeah, that's the only time where you have to communicate more. And yeah, that's the main thing. Okay, the scholarship, its actual name is Mwalimu Memorial Scholarship Fund, where it's done in honor of our first president by DOT. The main thing is that, okay, let's see, the overview. Fully funded scholarship established in 2009 honoring Mwalimu, 7 undergraduate scopes, and 3 master's scopes per year. So you have to know the undergrad students, you only have 7 spots. Eligibility, ACSE, top performers is just you have to have good performance of high school. Good performance of high school, which openly considered as Division 1, somewhere there. not very specific. Then the categories are two, this and private fat. More preference to female students and less to male. But oh no, there'll be female students and male students in it. I don't think they really follow up this category very much, but yeah, for what I've seen so far. They also go for all courses, like whatever course you be selected for, you can go for the scholarship. The coverage with tuition fee, allowance, meals and accommodation, books, mentorship, and it's the only scholarship that gives you a laptop, a free laptop. Yeah, HP laptop. It should be so useful for your studies. Then applications, the forms are found online in their website, or in BOT branches. You can go get the hard copy form from a BOT branch. Then by 30th of August, they give you the forms somewhere late July, maybe 30th of July. Then you give it a 1 month timeline to submit the form. After submitting, then you'll be waiting for your response. Then also in your PDF site, it's a scholarship you're required to maintain a 3.8 GPA and above. And also this will give you a personal mentor of a field you study. Like if maybe I'm going for Doctor of Medicine, they'll give me a doctor who'll be my personal mentor, following up all of my studies issues, guiding me on what is right, how to deal with it, yeah, things like that. And this can be a great opportunity for you to learn work opportunities after you're done here, because you have somebody who is experienced who can help you in guiding you in every step that you're taking in your studies. So it's a nice scholarship too, a very nice one. Unfortunately, this is good for you, take it. Now, the general requirements, these are very, very important things that you need to have. I'll try as I'm explaining this, I should mention specifically this is for this scholarship, so as to make it easy for you all. The first one is Tanzanian citizenship evidence, of which you need your NIDA, if it's number or card, you need your birth certificate too. Yeah, we don't need passport here because we're not traveling to another country. Then university admission letter, this is so important. Now, on insisting in this part specifically, there are some universities with delay. Yes? Someone who asked does applying for that's Oh, I'll answer your question soon. I'm just finishing up this, so I should answer questions. I'll tell you about it too. Thank you. Then, university admission letter. I was saying that there's some universities which delay to give you your admission letter. Karimji, even more, would not receive you unless you have an acceptance letter. Like you can show them I'm already accepted to this university. That's when they'll take you. Universities like MUHAS, make sure you really follow up early. Very early you get your admission letter. Like after you're accepted, a short while then you get the admission letter. So make sure you get your admission letter for university that you're going to as early as possible for the sake of the scholarship application. Then a motivation letter or essay. Now this is so important. I think you're all told about CV and motivation letter. I don't have to speak a lot about it, but do your best. As you're writing your essay, don't make it so boring. Tell them a story of yourself. And if you're able, like, express yourself fully. I don't mean you should lie something, but make them feel, why do you really need that scholarship? They should feel you and they should really want to help you. So your motivation letter should be convincing. CV, you already told them how to write it. Scholarships like Karinji and more scholarship really want somebody with skills. I told you about Karinji, like, because they don't have any bonds with you after they have paid your fee and everything. They want to see how you bring back to the community. So make sure your CV really has things. If you have attachments, put all of the attachments. I personally, my CV had, I think 16 certificates. Curriculars. Like I have all of the things written. Along with that, I attached 16. Really need their money. You cannot go study without their money. Yeah, like that. A-level transcripts. This is the problem also. O-level transcripts and even the certificate, I think most of you already have. Coming to A-level, when you're told that you have your results ready, as far as you think you want to apply for any scholarship, make sure you get it as early as possible. There are people who fail to apply because they did not have their A-level transcripts. So make sure you get your transcript as early as possible so as to make it easy for your applications. Then, disability or medical documents. This is for students who, for current scholarship, we need students, which are for students with special category like disability and something like that. So, there, if you have any proof of this, and that is one of the criteria you want to use in your application, then you should have it ready. Online application. Okay, now this your email phone number written in their phone field and all that. The documents. Have your documents in soft copy and hard copy. The soft copy in uploading and scan with the scan ones you upload the and IDs. Yeah, need copies. responsible for ID cards, certified copies of assignment certificates, birth certificate, and the national ID. You know about it being certified. That means if you have a photocopy of the thing, it should have a stamp of a lawyer. That's what it means by being copy. If somebody is not for you of the lawyer, which often they charge you 5,000 shillings. So you need to have your certificates verified. If maybe you have lots of one parents, okay, that's also an important thing. Death certificate, if maybe you're dependent on one parent for all of the scholarships, please attach it. It's one of the great qualifications that you have financially. But now, these certificates, according to Samia Scholarship in London, they need to be verified by RITA. So I think you've all heard about it. If not, I don't know what should you say, but RITA verification certificate. It has to be done as early as possible. You submit it to take a week or something and come back. If you've heard people doing verification, can you do it as early as possible? You might need it somewhere. So do verification of your certificates. Now, important reminders: identify the scholarship that you qualify for. Don't run for scholarship. One of them is Samia. If you qualify for it, your name will be apply unless you're shortlisted. But these other scholarships of heart of the quality letter, those are different things. You need both. You need an application letter separate. That means you're asking for scholarship. The motivation letter as to why you give you that scholarship is a different requirement. And a CV aside. A CV with attachment of your extracurricular certificate. So important to remember. Then make sure you have all your requirements in a hard copy and soft copy and photocopies. Because some of them, like current G, you need to go for oral interview. I'll mention about that too. Oral interview. When you go for the oral interview, they tell you need to have all your certificates that you attached, all the things that the qualifications that you told us about in your motivation essay, in your CV, come with them in hand, like what to see them. Because whatever you put online, they print it and make it a full document of you. Everybody who's asking you everything, like the interviewers, each of them has a full document of what you wrote online. So don't lie about things, first of all. Two, have them as hard copies, especially photocopies. They might need the originals, but you should have both. Yeah, as you go. Then submit the applications on time. Don't be the deadline people. Do your best to submit everything as early as possible. They follow up with sponsors. In the first place, there's something that you might not understand. As Precious said before, you have your website, you have the numbers in the website. Try to call and ask. Don't do things in a random way, like because I don't know, I'll do it just as I wish. That will cost you. Important thing is that when you go to your interview, this is for BOT, RNG, and more. After you've already qualified in the online application, they'll require you to go for an oral interview. When you go for your oral interview, it be an oral and written. Specifically, RNG had both written, which is a 10 minutes exam. It's not a big one. They'll ask you simple questions like, why did you choose this scholarship? Why did you choose that you really want? Something like that. Then you have your oral interview. Okay. I think they already talked about how you have to present yourself, but do your best to be as honest as possible. When you have to be honest, if you switch something in your application, then you should know that thing clearly because they'll ask you about it. They'll surely ask you about it. You say you're a good leader, but tell us, what is your heart is a leader? Like, what thing make you feel like, now this is so complicated, and how do you go about it? So you should have answers to your questions. Do your oral interviews. Don't leave your questions unanswered. I don't usually lie. If that's out of your reach, okay, fine, but don't leave simple questions unanswered. That's already a red flag in the application. Then, above all, do your best to hurry in each and every step of your application. I know we all have different beliefs, denominations, religions, wherever you ask now, do your best to hurry. This will be one of the things which will help you because some of the scholarships have a lot of requirements which can make you lose hope. Yeah, like most scholarship and current scholarship, the online form is very long and it needs you to answer everything before you go out. Because when you come back, it's back again. And you cannot do anything, like it's a one-time form. When it's there, you should have everything ready. You have to fill the same form after you finish something is made. Now, some people lose hope in that because there's something you need to refer, but when you refer, you come back and things are done. That's hard. So do your best. Pray hard, and I believe all will be well with you. Above all, if you have any personal inquiries in the scholarships that you need help, there are things you might need help in drafting and all that, you communicate to my email. Yeah, I think I'll also give my phone number. It will be there. Yeah. So thank you so much for your attention, and I hope you learned something. Hello.
Yeah, thank you so much for attending. It's been such an amazing, informative time learning things that never knew before would be helpful in our academic journeys. I'm just going to add on to what Elvira said. Like, prayer is an important part of the application process because it's not just one person who's going to determine your future. Like, there's a sequence of people who are going to have the application in hand, and each one's going to have the power to determine whether or not you're going to the next step or not. So it's beyond our own control. It is beyond our own influence. There's just something that we can do, so we only depend on God and our efforts. Like, effort can really be seen. No one who has worked tried their best. It's amazing. So I really support you guys. I have put the slideshow that unfortunately could not be able to finish on time in the WhatsApp. Actually, no, I am not, but I'm yet to do that. Yeah, there's much else
Thank you. Let me answer this question. Does applying for health disqualify you and apply for G? It doesn't disqualify you. But in the first place, when you're applying for G, that moment you won't have the health response yet. So just apply freely, but when the results are out, if probably isn't you're trying to go for the or you have to be open enough. Like, yes, I did, but I did this X, probably to be full or something. If it's not full, then you can just tell them open, like, because I had this, it is not full, they don't cover everything. I don't think I finish up everything. If you cannot, then they'll cover whatever health did not do. Unless you think you want to pass your health thing, then that's the moment you won't say. You say I don't have another scholarship. That means you should cancel whatever STEM had to give you. So it doesn't disqualify you. It's just about what you want. If you think you want the STEM loan completely, then fine. You can decide to cancel it out for G. Yeah. Thank you. I think that answered your question. And then is it possible to apply for multiple scholarships? Yes, it is, because you don't have chances for all of them. It's not 100% sure. A good example, Karen G receives up to 500 first scholarships, like the first applicants, 500 first applicants. Those funds are received and gone through. After they pass through all of those, only 12 people are selected to go for. This is according to last year. I don't know about the other years. 12 people were selected to go for the oral interview. From those 12, only 6 people got the scholarship. Now from that, you can work on multiple, then see what works out best. It's not a bad thing. Like it's not a problem. There's this bachelor degree programs offered. I don't understand the question from Raphael. I think I'm done answering questions. Is there any other question maybe? Yeah, it was your part.
All scholarships that listed have bachelor degrees programs, masters, and PhD. But I only focus on the bachelor one because that's the most relevant to this presentation. Why would I be talking about masters? But I just wanted to make sure that everyone is left with a clear idea of what these government scholarships offer. Does anyone have any questions that I'd like to answer about the internationals? Okay, someone has raised their hand.
Okay, thank you. So this is not a question. My name is Sam. I'm one of the mentors of Projectunite here. I just wanted to add something. I would say there are multiple scholarships, and I think people should know limit themselves. Themselves. So you can give it a shot as much as you can. For example, I have a scholarship. At the same time, I applied to BOT, and I was applying to US universities. That's where I am right now. And where else? I tried to apply Japanese scholarship, but again, I think I also tried Hungarian stipendium scholarship. So I think diversifying your options is very important, because as the presenters today have said, so should take maybe 6 people, even one, right? So the acceptance rate is very low. So to increase the probability of you being selected in at least one of the scholarships, you need to give a shot to multiple scholarships. Although you can have a focus to where you really, really want to go. Yeah, you can have a focus on where you really, really want to go and put more effort there, but don't leave others. As long as you have the opportunity, you meet the eligibility criteria and just apply, and you never know.
Yes, and one thing I would like to add on to that, it's very important to diversify your options. Yes, if you're applying to the US, don't just apply to the US. If you're applying to the UK, out to Europe, don't just apply there. Apply everywhere. But if you are doing that at once, I would try to be very careful in the university that you put most of your effort in. Because, for example, while I was applying maybe for the US, when I could spend all of your time writing a personal statement, editing your activities list, and then you're like, university industry, and all must be watched looking at the boss and doing it, but I know about it. Like, at the end of the day, it's these small universities that have very few people applying to them that have larger chances of valuing your application, because the ones that have maybe 6,000 applicants per year, there's just, I don't know, it's hard to say. I think they don't have the same level of desperation, and not just desperation, any attention to an application. They won't look at your application and see a person; they'll see just numbers, like the next one in the pile. So when you're applying to so many places, make sure you apply to places that will actually value you and your application, where you come from. This is just my addition to the pile. There's just never apply to only one place and expect that you get that place 100%. It is never 100% assurance that you'll get that. But is there anyone else maybe something to say or a question before we finish? No? Perfect. I feel like this is the best time to end it. Okay, see you later, guys.